Hey everyone, my name is Gerbenn. I've been really pleased to be with you guys this semester, and I really hope you like my final project. So, yeah. Hey everyone, so today I will be speaking about consent. So I want to begin this by saying I have a lot of photos that may not match what was being spoken about here. But that was sort of the key of the archive submission. It was sort of where you were when you heard the word, when you read the readings, just anything that was related to it. So one of the first things was the paper by Emily Owens. And I think the part that really got to me, that really made me want to read this, is that when I first skimmed it, I really like it really bounded to me that while this story was while it mentioned the idea of the slave woman, having to give sex because she was legally, legally binded, it made me think about different experiences that a lot of women had in history just altogether, because of the fact, since they're in in these relationships where they have to depend on people or have to sleep with people, for jobs or food or protection, you know that really isn't consent, because they're literally having to put their lives, in danger, or fear of being killed. And that's where the role of power dynamics and mutual understanding and true consent came in. So this selfie I took, I was actually eating after well during my break when I got on the VTL light rail, and was just thinking about this all day. Like, even when I would listen to music, this was just a thought that I was just thinking about, the societal norms. So then the other thing that I wanted to speak about was the fact of how effective the power communication was. So for background transparency, for my first classmates' comments, this is what really made me choose 1000%. This was going to be the key word that I chose, because of the fact that with some transparency, I never knew that consent was not only in sex itself, it was just in anything in general, not letting somebody screenshot conversations with you, taking things from you even though you guys are super close, and different things like that. So it's just the first thing that we associate with it, but it's not the only context. And then the consent library doc. So I actually watched this panel document after I left work in San Francisco and ended up in San Jose at the King Library. And a lot of the examples that were given by one of my classmates' comments about the hot tub situation was the fact that there was a woman of Cuban descent, another woman of Haitian descent, and another one of Jordan descent. And they all spoke about the fact that parenting was an issue for them, because they felt their parents never really discussed the fact that the father should have had better communication and asked for consent during different things, and they would see different things like that. And it just made so much sense that the fact consent holds such immense power. And if we aren't able, to better teach our young boys to turn into men, this is when we get into those uncomfortable situations that shouldn't occur. Then also here, followed again, this is another classmate's comments that as it relates to parents' consent and the impact they can have on their kids. And I noticed everybody had a piece that they had to it. There were some people that said that their parents were really good on that. There were some people that said their parents were lacking on that. I grew up with my grandma, so I would say that I was pretty good on that, just given the fact that I knew she always wanted me to have any type of consent with anybody that I spoke to, in out of respect. And then this is the gender dynamics that I wanted to speak about with the second class reading that I wanted to bring up. So it's actually the Musser's analysis, and this spoke about the sexual dynamics and power structures. So I wanted to speak about the car situation, which is one of the archive submissions that I had. And I was speaking with my niece, and she was telling me on July 2nd about how her cousin went and got the car, and took it from her, even though that they've done that before, but it was never a time when she slept. It would always be like he would ask to borrow the car. And even though he may have had a emergency at the time that he needed to get to, I think it was just out of respect that he should have asked, for consent. And I took a screenshot of myself on FaceTime with her, just to remember, that situation, so I could jot it down. And she told me essentially that she didn't feel that that was right. And I spoke about her individual experience of consent to show that it can be as little as just borrowing your friend's car, borrowing family's car, different things like that, that's not giving consent. And the third here was the work break, and then the water. So the thing is that the next paper I want to talk about was the Halberstam masculinity piece, and it sort of critiques how the traditional masculine roles and their influence on power dynamics and relationships. And I always thought it was just sexual relationships or dating relationships, but it can also be in just work relationships altogether. So I actually overheard on the bus going from Palo Alto all the way to downtown San Jose, where there was a woman that expressed her frustration about her boss, like completely changing her schedule, And the thing is that I thought that was the end of it, so I was just gonna put it there. But I actually ended up in the library about 30 minutes after that, after just walking around downtown, and I actually saw her on my floor continuing to speak about it. So I actually sat down and I spoke with her, and I was telling her about the fact that I've been working on this for a while now, and this is gonna be a final project that I have. And I just spoke with her about how I felt the intersection of the masculinity, power, sort of sort of ran through to the consent as well, because she was feeling, so lost and confused, and and she couldn't really do anything because this is her, paycheck and different things at stake, which really made me think and really wanted to put this example in there. And then the other thing too is that my first ever example of consent was actually before I even read the Emily Owens paper, and I was in downtown San Jose, and there was a woman that I overheard speaking about how somebody was trying to make advances with her, and I just wanted to interject and just tell her, she need anything, just let me know. I get her a Uber, whatever, it doesn't matter, because I was coming from work and I just felt like it was the right thing to do at the time. So once again, I really want to go to the roles of parents, and I wanted to give it a different light, just because it's a lot of examples that I had in my archive submissions, with playing basketball and different things like that, and having one of the young little girls actually take one of my basketballs, and I wasn't mad, I actually was really cool with it, but her parent actually stopped her and was having a conversation with her about having to ask first, or like making sure to go through her. And I took a picture at the park this day of these leaves, these flowers, and it sort of made me think, like, to help blossom the idea of gender respect and consent, this is what we have to do. And I actually read a outside paper about parents' gender ideology and gendered behavior as a predictor of children's gender role attitudes and how they feel about towards certain people, about different things, especially as it relates to consent, about what is right, what is wrong, and pretty much on a regular level from kids up until the point, where things start to turn sexual and people start going into relationships. So I really appreciate you guys for sitting here and listening to my lecture about the key word here. I really wish there was more time, to go in depth, but I really think that I've tried to explain it as much as I can, and hopefully, we could definitely connect next time. And I thank you guys for listening to my presentation.